Tired of serving up the same old tasteless victuals to your family? Step up your grill game with new seasonings from Cloy's Southern Eats. Based off famous Southern recipes, our seasonings will add what's been missing to your family's feast. Add it to steak, chicken, shrimp, you name it. Serving up these fixings is going to make you the hero at home. So head on over to CloysSouthernEats.com and order yours today. Come get you some.
And everybody, welcome to the after Thanksgiving edition of the Razorback Football Report with Otis Kirk here on Hogville.net YouTube Live here in November 26th. I want to thank Coy's Southern Eats, our sponsor. Make sure to also go and check them out at the holiday shopping event at the holidays at the Greek Orthodox Church. I do believe that might be in Bryant. It's from 11 to 7. If it is different, we'll let you know the exact place. I do believe, though, that is going to be in Bryant. And make sure to go check them out. It's free and open to the public. I also want to thank Cindy Alt. Otis, she was the winner of the $100 Coy's gift box on her guess. She guessed the almost exact score. She guessed at 49-14. And she got really, really close, but she was the one who won the box, and so want to congratulate her.
What's her name again?
Cindy Alt. Cindy Alt.
She needs to join our pick'em contest. She do a hell of a lot better than I did on the pick. I picked Arkansas 30-28. I was a genius, man. I didn't think Arkansas would win. I just picked them. I mean,
yeah,
I didn't think it'd be as bad as it was, but no, whatever, you know. But no, that's a great job by her. She at 49-14. I guess she missed her, 1 point?
Yeah, 1 point. That's it.
Yeah. We need to keep her out of our contest. She'd whip our tails, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
She beat us. No doubt. Embarrassed. Lanny might hire her instead of us.
Oh, my God. I hope she don't take our job. But, I mean, if she does, she'll do a great job at it, too. So
it's her Lanny or anything.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I went on a 40-minute rant after the game on here, and I felt like it was justified because there was a lot, I wouldn't say seething comments, but I want to say that there were a lot of people that were pretty pissed off. I was walking back from the game during the fourth quarter, and I'm going to tell you, I felt like I needed to get on there and say something because to sugarcoat it, it's not doing the fan base justice, and it's not doing our listeners any justice either.
Yeah, Lane called me Saturday morning and said, you got after him pretty good. He wasn't calling about that, and he wasn't complaining. But he just called me to see if I'd heard anything about the about the OC. I don't remember either. It's what I thought about the game, you know. I mean, I said, you know what I thought about the game? It was ugly. I mean,
yeah.
typical of the season in Fayetteville, man. I mean, these Fayetteville games have been ugly. I mean, ugly. Obviously, the Kent State and the Florida International, where the opponent was just completely outmatched. Those were not ugly, but those 3 SEC games were all ugly. Mississippi State only won 7-3, but it was still an ugly game. In fact, that might have been the most ugly of all. I mean, that was just Good thing about Hugh Freeze, though, he ran his mouth about how many points he could have scored against Arkansas. He hadn't won anything since then, you know. They got to beat New Mexico State. Maybe he should have saved some of those points for New Mexico State. And then yesterday on 4th and a mile, he rushes 2 people against Alabama, and they throw a touchdown pass. I mean, rush 2 people. Folks, that's bad coaching. I don't care if it was Arkansas, if it's Auburn, who it is. But I'm just telling you, when you run – and people misunderstood me. They got on there saying, well, he kicked Arkansas. Hey, you know what? That's neither here nor there. I was there. I saw the game. I know he beat Arkansas. I was there. That's not the point. My point is, would Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, people like that, would they run their mouth about how many points they could? I mean, Nick Saban has beaten Arkansas through the years 55, 56, 52-0. And I've never heard Nick Saban go on there and say, I could have scored, 100, somebody. I've never, that have a little class is what I'm saying. I mean, Freeze got on there. He didn't have to say that. I mean, it was obvious they kicked Arkansas's butt. And yeah, we all know he could have scored more points. But did he really feel the need to tell people that? I mean, I don't. That's arrogance, man. And I'm telling you, karma will get you. Yeah. Karma will get you. And it will get Drinkowitz. It will eventually get Drinkowitz. You wait and see. It will get Drink. Yep. People can talk
I'm
about
gonna tell you,
he's 5-5, 6-7, 6-7 until this year. And yes, he had a great season, but that doesn't guarantee anything next year. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, he can take his cigars and stuff, and he can praise. But what goes up comes back down, and when it comes back around, it's karma can be. Well, we know what karma can be. I won't say it, but we know what it can be.
I will say this though about Hugh Freeze: if he keeps losing games to Alabama like the way that he did, or just losing games in general, his life expectancy in that job is very small.
Oh, no, they fired Gus. They fired Tommy Tuberville after one bad season. I don't like Tuberville, but I mean, my God, the guy won games there, lost one time to Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, and got fired. I mean, they're not tolerant. They're not Hunter Yurchek down there, and they're not tolerant. They will fire your butt down there. They're not as tolerant as Arkansas and a lot of schools are. I mean, that's just, I didn't see the need. My point on that whole deal with Freeze was I did not see the need for him to come out and say that. Yes, it was true. And yes, he could have. And yes, he kicked Arkansas rear. I just didn't see the need. I just don't think your top coaches like Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, guys like that, I just don't think they would have said that. I just don't think they'd have felt the need to say, because like I said, Saban has been easy on Arkansas for years, I mean, you expect.
He could have hammered Arkansas. There are a number of times where he knew the score was going to be a blowout, but he still never did. And I think that's
he didn't run it. After the game, he was complimentary. He didn't run his mouth. And Saban has always been that way. He may be a jerk. He may be mad, look mad all the time. But I'm telling you, the guy's a great coach, and he wins. Yep. He wins, and he doesn't feel the need to make it trash an opponent like that. I just didn't see the need for Freeze. And I don't mean, I've said that 100 times. I'll get off of it, but I'm glad Freeze is getting what he had coming to him. And you're right, but you're right. You keep losing games like that because there was no way they should have lost that game. You don't rush 2 people.
Let him get the rights.
Time to throw. He can always fight. You can only cover so long. I don't care how many you're dropping, but you can only cover so many times, so long. And you got to put some pressure on the quarterback because he has all day to throw. He's usually going to find somebody, Jason.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you what, that was a straight dime that Milroe dropped in the back corner of the left part of that end zone, because there wasn't one of those things where he just like jump up and just kind of catch it. He was falling backwards and still had to get a foot in, and it still went over the DB's head. I mean, it was a hell of a throw.
That was a great play by Milroe. I'm telling you, he's a good quarterback. He's not their first-round draft choice. He's not the Heisman Trophy He's not the Heisman Trophy winner they've had. He's not their first round draft pick.
No.
But I'm telling you, Jalen Miller was a good quarterback. I mean,
Get the
he
job done.
plays within the system, and to credit Nick and Coach the offensive coordinator, they adjusted the offense to fit him. They did a great job. I'm telling you, man, I'm impressed with them. I'm proud they won. I want to see them play Georgia, and the winner of that have a chance to go to the SEC. Well, not a chance. The winner will probably go to the national championship game. No doubt if Georgia wins, they would go. I would think Alabama with just one loss, and if they beat number 1 Georgia, they would go. I can't imagine they get left out. I just can't imagine. I mean, you've got Washington, you've got Michigan. Michigan had an impressive win yesterday.
Yes, they did.
That was impressive.
They did. Watched. I even texted you during that one because I was like, this is finally a chance to watch some good football.
That was good. I was surprised they won. I thought Ohio State would win. I don't know why, but I did. I thought they would win.
Got a couple of comments on here real quick. And this, I want to kind of bring this back into Razorback football. The thing that bothers me the most, what Todd Cooper says, is that when Trey asks a legitimate question and Sam says, I don't know, it's a very unprofessional and unprepared response. I know that Kyle Parkinson's a smart guy. He is the communications director for the Razorbacks, and he's with Sam all the time. He was at Vanderbilt before he was here. And this is something that he's had to have touched on with Sam before that you can.
I don't blame Sam. I don't blame Sam at all. Sam can answer a question any way he wants to. When you get on after an Auburn game and you go on your walk and talk and well, I'm just going to leave it at that. I think you guys are off base on that one. I think Sam has got every right to answer questions the way he wants to. I think some of the blame there is getting shifted to the wrong direction. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to go any deeper now. I don't want to start a war with the media, but I think y'all guys are off base on that one. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Another one from Philip White. Otis, could this new focus on NIL have anything to do with the new name going up on Razorback Stadium? Maybe I've mixed 2 totally different stories, but I thought I'd ask.
I think the deal with NIL, I think part of it is I think they've got some money that obviously they were prepared. If Sam lost to Florida International, they were going to buy him out. And I think the money they had for that, they're taking and reinvest it into NIL. They're going to be okay in NIL, I think. I don't know that they'll be the richest school in the country, but they've got some money, and hopefully they spend it wisely. That's going to be the key. They've got the money. How they spend it, somebody could give you $1 million, and if you took it out here and you spend it unwisely, it wouldn't do you much good. You got to spend it wisely, and hopefully Arkansas does. They have a chance to compete to some level, some degree in NIL, and so let's see what they do with it, because like I said, you can have money, but how you spend it is just as important as having it, because if you have it and you misspend it, you've wasted it. And so we'll see, but they've got to do it wisely.
Yep. And, here's, I was looking at some numbers last couple of days. So Arkansas is in the top 15 nationally in NIL. But the problem is that they're 8th in the SEC in NIL. So that kind of tells you exactly where the war of arms stands in the SEC, because even though Arkansas they are reinvesting, they're beefing up the NIL, they're making sure that they're trying to get some top talent in here. And basically, I mean, what it is it's buying players. And they're using that, like you said, if they use that money wisely, they will be able to stockpile and turn this roster over now because of the transfer portal and how everything shakes out. So there is some hope there that Razorback fans can look at and say, okay, where's Arkansas investing this money, and what kind of return are they going to get on this investment, not during the season, but off season, because that's what's going to spark ticket sales. That's what's going to spark advertising dollars. And that's what's going to also spark fan interest, because at this point, that's what the fans are wanting, is they want something to hold on to, a little shred of hope.
When there's a portal out there, available to you like it is to Arkansas, there is absolutely no reason to go 4-8. There's no excuse for going 4-8 with the transfer portal because you can reload now. It's not rebuild. And yeah, the roster flips over. I get that. It flips over a lot. It flipped over at Colorado and they went 4-8. Arkansas went 4-8. But that was, and I'm not trying to compare the two situations. That was Prime's first season at Colorado. So save the ripping on Prime. I love Coach Prime. I watch probably more of his games and more of his press conferences than anybody other than Sam. I like the guy. So I'm just saying, I used him as an example of a roster that flipped over. Now, it was his first year, so it's more understandable there than Sam in his fourth year. But when you're in your fourth year, let me be clear, there's no reason to go 4-8 and with the portal. And that's why you've got to go out here and no matter how many players you lose, be it 15, be it 30, whatever happens in the next 10 days or whatever, next week to 10 days, no matter how many players they lose, they've got to go replace those guys with better players. And they've got a good start. Getting Keyshawn Blackstock was a great start. That was a great start, but that's one player. You've got to do it more than one. But that was a great start. I mean, Michigan State, 6'5", 315 pounds. People ask me, will he play tackle? Well, he was left tackle there, and that's what he was recruited for. But with Sam, you think about it, other than Chamley and Devin Manuel, very few of those kids only played one position. I mean, were only coached to play one position. Braun played a little tackle in preseason. Tykees garden tackle, Marion garden tackle, Limmer garden center, Limmer garden tackle. Most of those guys are groomed, are trained to play two positions. So I think you will see Blackstock play tackle, but also be prepared to play guard if he's needed there. So I think that's answer. That's why I list him as an offensive lineman. But yeah, he was a good start. But you've got to go replace these guys that leave with better players. And if you do, you hang on to your high school kids as many as you can. If you can hang on to all of them. Sam said Friday night that he felt comfortable he could hang on to his recruiting class. Well, if he does, great. I think they've got I know they've got 18 commitments from the high school ranks. Hang on to them and get you however you can go portal for portal now. You lose 30 players, you can sign 30, but you got to get the right 30. And they're going to put an emphasis on the line. They had a big time defensive lineman in here this weekend. Kamari Copeland, 43 offers. He may play in Little Rock 2 weeks from this weekend. Come to think, now that I mentioned it, because they're in the playoffs. They actually won it last year, national championship. They beat Hutchinson Community College down there. I believe they won that game. They played them in Little Rock last year. I think Iowa Western won it. Maybe they lost, but whatever. They're in the playoffs again. They play Kilgore next Sunday. And if they win, they'll go to Little Rock, play for the national championship. But his name is Kamari Copeland from Iowa Western. 43 offers, but 36 tackles, 19 solo, 9 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, pass breakup, fumble recovery. So I mean, yeah, he's a good ball player. He's 4-star with Rivals, 3-star with On 3 and 24/7. Honestly, I don't know how you can have 43 offers and be a 3-star, but he is. But he is a 4-star with Rivals. 43 offers speaks volumes. He's down to Arkansas, Tennessee, Virginia Tech, and NC State. Virginia Tech may have an inside. He's from Virginia Beach, Floyd Kellum High School, not Darrell Kellum. Floyd Kellum High School, originally out of Virginia. So he's from there. So for Virginia Tech may have the inside, but we'll see. I mean, Arkansas made a strong impression on him. He said they had great facilities. He thought when he got here it'd be tumbleweeds and stuff. And
A little different there.
I'd be propped up with people's walking sticks and stuff. But no, he was really blown away with everything here in Fayetteville. It was a lot nice. He loves Deke Adams. I think Arkansas's got a legit shot there. And if he doesn't go home, I think they've got a really good chance there. He may not get to take that NC State visit, Jason, because they're in the playoffs. He is going to visit Virginia Tech on the 15th of December, but he may not take that NC State. If they keep winning, talking about Iowa Western, then he won't probably won't be able to take that, although he might work it into a midweek. But he may not get to take that. So it might. He's visited Tennessee and Arkansas. He's going to visit Virginia Tech for sure. And I feel good about Arkansas versus Tennessee. If that's what I'm not saying that's what it'll come down. That's his two visits before. I feel good about where Arkansas stands between those two.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's some great news on the horizon. Speaking of news, I think this is. I'm just going to kind of go on a small tangent for just a hot second, if you just bear with me. One of the reasons I feel like Hunter Yurachek, and we're going to go in a different way here for just a second. The reason why that they didn't let go of Sam is a couple of reasons. One, because of the money. Two, they're going to have to go against some high-profile schools to snag a head coach. Now, look at the mess that A&M is in right now. They tried to go get Mark Stoops last night, didn't work out. Jeff Lebby, that was floated out there. Looks like that's not working out. Now they're going after Mike Elko over at Duke now.
I thought that's what they should have gone after to start with.
Yeah, and if Texas A&M is on their third coach that they're looking at that's been reported, what makes you think that Arkansas is going to be in that same discussion with Texas A&M, knowing a coach could go in there and get a ridiculous buyout, which I still don't think that they're going to be able to do that again. But Arkansas would have to went up against Michigan State, possibly UCLA. Don't know if Chip Kelly's going to come back. You also are looking at if Michigan moves on or if Harbaugh moves on, so Michigan's replacing a coach possibly. A&M, maybe Duke. And it just seems like that there are so many moving pieces that Hunter Yurachek and the board of trustees and also the donors are going to have to go after. And that was he just could not justify trying to fight that uphill battle when he could still keep the defensive staff intact, have Sam turn over this offensive staff and where it might stand, and then bring in some new players. I just feel like they were going to be able to use the money, like you said, that they were going to have to buy out Sam to reinvest it in NIL and try to right this ship.
Yeah, I don't know if the competition was that big a factor, though, because even if you fire him next year, there are going to be big openings next year. There's always big openings out there. I mean, I think one thing that's hurting A&M is their athletic director came out and said they're not an 8-4 job. And people look at that. I mean, you're a coach and you look at that, and not that your goal is to go 8-4 every year, but when the AD says you're not an 8-4 job, I mean, I'm thinking
that sounded like Nebraska from the 90s when they let Frank Solich go with 8 wins.
Right. 9-10 wins.
Well, they've been the last 25 years in the basement.
That wasn't good enough for Nebraska. What he was doing, they're not a 9-3 school. Yeah, guess what? Now they love to be 9-3 or 10-2. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes you can I get the big goals, not settling for lesser. I get that, but sometimes you got to be wise with your words if you're in that position. Because if I'm a coach and I'm looking and thinking, what my second or third year, I went 8-4. And see, you can go 8-4 in the SEC. It'd be a pretty good football team.
Yeah.
You could lose. I mean, look at Lane Kiffin this year. I mean, they had to go to Alabama. They had to go to Georgia. And they've won some close games like Arkansas and LSU and some of those games at home. So, I mean, they've had some close games. They could have easily been 8-4. And they were. Yeah. They've got a very good football team. Missouri could have 10-2 could have lost to Florida up there in Columbia right before Arkansas game. They could very easily have lost to Florida. I mean, I'm just telling you, to say you're not an 8-4 program, I get that, and I know he's saying about every year, but you got to be careful with your words because I think some coaches are looking at that. Hey, if I'm Stoops, I look at that, and I look at my situation at Kentucky. Is A&M a better job than Kentucky? Yeah. Is it easier to win? Yeah. Is it football more than basketball like Kentucky's a basketball? Yeah. But Stoops has got he's got a lot of stability at Kentucky. Well, yeah, you got to have coaches expect that, but your athletic directors, who I'm talking about, I'm not talking about coaches. You can expect that. But to say that,
and that's exactly what Braves just followed up with right before they said Hunter Yurachek needs to learn from Ross Bjork that to be a contender, you got to be the baseline.
Well, you've got to have expectations, but you've also got to know that when you make statements like that, it will be used against you in hiring a coach. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
We can pat him on the back for being a big man and saying that, but he's still looking for a coach too. And still looking for a coach too. So, I mean, I know no matter what you say right now, these fans are all pissed off and we're going to get on here and disagree, and that's fine. I don't care. Like I said, I don't care, but I'm just telling you, you got to be wise when you're in that position, and that wasn't a wise statement.
Yeah,
you can say that because you just know that there's going to be some 8 and 4 years in the SEC. I mean, he's a real wise man. I mean, they're sitting there paying a guy $77 million, not the coach. He's very wise. Yeah, A&M is super wise. They're paying a man $77 million to go away. They're super wise. I agree with all of you.
So, I want to focus a little bit too on what the offensive coordinator search has been looking like. Are there any names out there that you've heard of that you've reported on?
Yeah, I mean, I ran a list Thanksgiving Day, but Buster Faulkner is who I would hire from Georgia Tech. If they could get that guy, that's a grand slam hire. That's not a home run. That's a grand slam. I mean, that guy kept Georgia off balance last night, and really has been at some good places, been at Georgia stuff. But Buster Faulkner is who I would hire. I mean, that's a guy that knows how to run an offense and can get it done and can he turned Georgia Tech around immediately. And that's what Sam needs. He doesn't need a long range plan. He needs an immediate plan, something to turn this thing around immediately. And like I said, with the transfer portal, the right high school recruiting, and the right development of your players you have on campus, we all forget that. We all talk about high school recruiting and junior college and the portal. We forget about development of the kids you got on campus. But with the right of all that, you could turn this thing around immediately. There's no reason to be 4-8 in year 4. There's just not.
Another name that I saw pop up today is that Houston's moved on from Dana Holgorsen. He's the type of guy that could come in over an offseason, attract a top-tier quarterback through the portal possibly. If KJ doesn't come back, we still don't know that. Portal opens up this coming Friday. And that's why Sam does all these exit interviews on Monday. He wants to identify an OC by Wednesday. So that way, if you got some guys that are leaving because of the uncertainty, he's got somebody in place that they can at least work on him for a couple days before they decide to go to the portal. I think that Holgorsen might be a guy that has head coaching experience at Southern Miss, also over at West Virginia and at Houston, that might be able to serve Sam a little bit better than maybe what Dan Enos did. And maybe like you talked about, and I talked about, moving Kenny Guyton back to the passing coordinator role, if that's a possibility, in wide receiver. I don't know, but he's a name that I think would be very attractive to players to stay and also come into the system.
If he'd be willing to be an assistant, yeah. I mean, but I'd still take Buster Faulkner. But the thing I would like about it, whether it be Dana or someone else, is I really think, people told me all year that Sam really missed Barry from Odom from a lean on, not as a defensive coordinator, but as a lean on person to lean on. And I kind of scoffed at that much of the year. And then it finally hit me, when I hear him say stuff like, I didn't know if I wanted to kick that field goal, I didn't know what I wanted to do. Then I kind of look at that and I think maybe he did miss Barry a lot, And a head coach like Dana, somebody that's been at West Virginia, been at Houston, been here and there, it'd be somebody he could lean on. So that's why I mentioned Sean Lewis the other day, the guy at Colorado that used to be at Kent State. And I don't know what happened at Colorado. I know he got demoted in midseason, but I don't know. And that would be for something Sam would have to. I'm sure Coach Prime had a reason for doing that, or maybe he just felt like the time for a change. But whatever, that would be up to Coach Pittman to find out what happened there. make sure it's not something bad. But if it was just if it's just a conflict, maybe Sean Lewis got sideways with Shadur. I don't know. I'm not saying that. I don't know. But I mean, you would have to do your homework to find out why he got demoted. But I do know that Sean Lewis was a good head coach at Kent State, would be someone Sam could lean on, and I thought he was a good offensive coordinator at Colorado. He got demoted, but I felt like the offense was better. They had a lot of the same issues Arkansas did. They had no offensive line protection. Shadur got beat to death back there, just like KJ and Jacoby did.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, they had a lot of the same issues that Arkansas did. So I don't, and they didn't run the ball real well with Sean Lewis. But there again, I think it was more offensive line problems than anything else. I don't think it was anything. I don't think it's like Sean Lewis doesn't run the ball, because I think he's a good offensive coordinator. That would be somebody. I mean, but yeah, if you don't get a Buster Faulkner, somebody that was a head coach for Sam to lean on, because I do think he needs. There's just been some times he said some things at press conferences that just kind of. First place, you don't say, I didn't know if I wanted to kick a field goal. I didn't know what to do there. You're putting a pistol and putting a bullet in for these people to come at you. I mean, you're loading a gun for them, and you're giving them
the pitchfork and the torch.
Well, even if you didn't know, and I don't know with Cam Little there why you would not know what you wanted to do. You can't score a touchdown. You're struggling. If I'm not mistaken, that was the Mississippi State game. He said that, and you've got Cam Little sitting there, and
would an OC want to come here knowing he might be here for 1 year?
See, that's a silly argument, because coaches don't look at it that way. If you got fired at your job, I don't know what Todd does. If I got fired at mine, we'd have to struggle to find a job. Coaches are hired to be fired. They don't look at it that way. They know they come here, they get a 2 or 3 year contract. Okay, let's say Sam gets fired and they're out of a job. Somebody else will hire them. Somebody will hire them. They're not. You may have to overpay a little, and you may have to give the guy 3 years instead of 2. Yeah. But he's going to get his money, and then somebody's going to hire him. It happens all the time. Coaches not like, you got to erase that thought out of your mind, because that's not that no one is silly, because it's not the truth. Coaches not like anything else. I mean, I wouldn't want to go to a newspaper that I thought would go broke after a year, or to a website that would go broke after a year. But coaches are different, because they know dang well if they lose their job here, somebody else will hire them. Because I mean, there's
always a life raft.
You're talking about Buster Faulkner. The guy's a great offensive coordinator. He comes here, and if they do get fired, he'd still find another job, and he would have a contract here, a buyout, and everything anyway. I mean, you may have to overpay, but no one would come here is bull. I mean, that's just bull. That's not true. Coaching, it's a completely different animal than anything else. Like I said, if you're talking about media job or whatever, you would look at it that way. But when it comes to coaching, guys are hired to be fired, and they know that. And he's going to, whoever it is, going to want their money, and they're going to want some guarantee beyond 1 year. Yeah. And they're going to want that, and you're going to have to give it to them. But once you give it to them, then they know that somebody else will hire. I mean, Buster Faulkner, if he came here and then got fired, the staff got fired a year, he and Woodson and people like that would be out of a job for about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
They'd be out of a job about 5 minutes. That's how long they'd be out of a job.
Yep. And that's, I think, one of the positions that Hunter Yurachek is in at this point, with looking at an offensive coordinator with Sam and trying to identify the right fit for this, for this next upcoming season, is they know they're going to have to overpay a little bit. That's just that's just the brass tacks of it all. They're going to have to overpay a little bit because, one, they understand that the offensive line is a mess. I don't know what's going to happen with the offensive line coaching position. That's a question
or anything else, because I don't care if they are Vince Lombardi. If they don't fix that offensive line, whatever the issue is, I'm not saying fire Cody Kennedy. I'm not saying don't fire. I'm saying they've got to fix the offensive line, whatever that fix is. Surely Sam knows, and so he's got to fix it. And because you got to fix that because if you can't block, you can't be successful running any offense. Like I said, you watch KJ, Shadur Sanders, kids that played behind weak offensive lines, they got killed, man. And if you don't, you got to fix that, and that's got to be fixed. If they don't get that fixed, they'll all be looking for a job. But who would have thought in year 4 that Sam's biggest issue would be the offensive line? Who would have ever dreamed? See, that's why I get into this stuff about don't tell me what a coach is going to be next year because of this year, like we're talking about Coach Drink. You don't know, because who in the world, when Sam went 3-7 his first year and then 9-4 his second, who thought in year 4 the biggest issue concerning Arkansas would be the offensive line? Nobody.
Yep.
Nobody.
So Mr. Bloodline, he's asking a question here. Do you think that Cody Kennedy has to go?
I just answered that. I'm saying they've got to fix the offensive line. Sam knows what the issue is. If it's Cody Kennedy, then he needs to get rid of him. If it's not, then he needs to figure out what it is. And they've got to fix the offensive line. That's all I'm saying. I've done answered that. You've got to fix the offensive line, and Sam knows what the problem is. If it's Cody, then yeah, he has to go. If it's not Cody, then what is the issue? Then fix it, because it's got to be fixed. Because you can't 40-something sacks and can't get any line of scrimmage. People coming through untouched. I mean, and movement has been an issue ever since Liberty did. Maybe before that, but man, Liberty last year exposed them. You freeze when they did that movement on the defensive line. Arkansas has struggled with that. And once you struggle with something like that, every school sees it, Jason. Yeah, every school sees it, and every school starts doing it. And
there's a couple of times during his press conferences that Sam even mentioned and said, even the BYU game, that was why I think that stood out the most to me, was he said the defensive line movement is what really messed with our offensive line the most. That, like you said, that goes back to Liberty from last year. They saw that film and they said, okay, we're going to expose that. It was not taken care of in the offseason, and it was exposed for the rest of this season. And until something is changed, and I don't know if it's personnel on the line or in the admin building, something's got to change, like you said, because if not, they're going to do it next year and they're going to get schooled again.
Yeah, and if they do it next year, then they're all in trouble. For Sam's own sake, and I know he's a very good offensive line coach, but I don't know. He's going to have to figure it out and get them. Brad Davis did have the line performing well, but he also was doing it with players he inherited from a coach. The coach that was with Chad got no credit, but that guy came in and Brett left the offensive line pretty bare. They didn't even have enough to have a good practice, and he came in. But Brad's evaluations the 2 years he was here were awful and didn't leave much. And that's why you're seeing the upperclassmen not much there. And that was on the 2 years, which Sam signed off. So Sam, it's not like it's all Brad Davis. Sam Pittman signed off on those. But you got to do a better job evaluating it. And part of it was the COVID, where they couldn't go out and watch the kids. I get that, Jason. Yep. Part of it was the COVID, but they missed some valuations bad during that COVID year and stuff. Even that first.
A lot of people that did too.
Yeah, and it's somewhat because look, man, when you're recruiting off a highlight film and nothing else, man, you can take a highlight film and make anybody that's got talent look pretty good. You can, and it's hard to recruit off of that. It's a guide, but you've got to be able to watch them play in person, get them into camps. They couldn't have camps. That was tough, and that's why I say not really blasting Brad or Sam for that, but whatever, the upperclassmen that they recruited were not what they should be. They've got to do a better job evaluating. But yeah, and so they played a lot of young players this year. But then again, I mean, like I said on this, if Cody Kennedy is the issue, then yeah, he's got to go. If he's not, then Sam's got to identify the issue and get it fixed, because you shouldn't go in. You can't go into year two and a half, because they had a half a year last year after Liberty, basically, or whatever it was. And then this year, where movement and stuff was causing that kind of issues, you can't go into next year and use that as an excuse next year. You just can't do it, man. So, I mean, they're going to have to make some – he's got to fix stuff. And I asked Sam that Friday night. I asked him, what are you going to do to fix the offensive line? And I got an answer, but – and I mean, he's going to have to fix it because it all starts. One of his answers was go to the portal and get a bunch of portal kids. I get that, but I mean they've got to be able to block, and and he talked about developing the kids they've got here on campus. I'm sure you're talking about the Chamleys, the Manuels, the Bronze, the kids like that. That's got eligibility and that are playing. Imarian, but I mean they've got some issues there, and until they get that fixed, but Sam is not in a position now, though, to be looking long range fixes. He's got to fix things now.
Yeah.
And, if he doesn't, then, it's going to be uglier next year than it is this year. And but
what
it's
he's
all,
looking at,
look, the offensive line, if Kennedy's the issue, you can go hire you an offensive line coach. You can hire you an offensive coordinator, recruit well from the portal, evaluate well.
Yep.
And you can fix this. I'm not saying they'll be. I mean, look at Missouri. They went from 6-7 last year to 10-2 this year. I mean, it can be done. There's no excuse to not be winning with the portal. I mean, you've just got to evaluate well. Arkansas had some injuries, but everybody has injuries. So I don't know. I mean, all injuries are not the same. But I mean, KJ was reasonably healthy all year till Friday. So, I mean, that was one of the things they wanted going into the season, KJ to stay healthy, and he did.
Yep.
But for the most part, and I'm not saying he wasn't beat up. Obviously, he was. Everybody gets beat up during the course of a season.
Yep. And, this is what Sam's looking at. And he understands that the mirror is looking a little bleak when he looks into it right now. But what he's looking at right now is he's got to replace an offensive coordinator, possibly a wide receivers coach. If he ends up losing anybody off of the defensive side of the staff, maybe an offensive line coach, we'll have to see. Also, possibly a starting quarterback in 1 year and expect him to turn it around. Now, can it be done? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, that is a tall order. If not, you're looking at this staff maybe having a full change next year.
That's why I asked him Friday night what kind of offense he wants to run next year. That's what was my question, because I don't think KJ will be back. Nobody's told me that. That's just my guess. I don't think KJ will be back. But, I mean, are they going to do a pro style? They're going to do a tempo style offense?
Yeah.
I think that determines. But, there's Felipe Franks types out there in the portal. I mean, if KJ does leave and say Malachi were to transfer, then I think you would be looking at Jacoby Criswell. Then obviously, and you've got KJ Jackson coming in, assuming you hang there, which I think they will. But you hang with KJ Jackson. You got Jacoby. You still need another transfer portal quarterback. Let him battle it. And so it would be interesting to see what they do. But yeah, like I said, Jason, there is no reason to be 4-8 in year 4 with the portal available. Sam probably disagree with that. That's fine. I'm not trying to get approval from anybody on any answer. I'm giving you why I think it's the reason, but I'm just telling you there's no excuse for being 4-8 your fourth year. But it can be turned around pretty. Like I said, Drinkowicz went from 6-7 to 10-2. What was Ole Miss last year? Were they 8-4, I believe?
I think that they were 8-4, yeah.
During the regular season.
Yeah, 8-4, 7-3, somewhere right around there.
Yeah, I mean, so they went 10-2. So it can be done in a year. I mean, Arkansas's one thing that Arkansas's got to do, two things Arkansas's got to do. They've got to figure out how to play well in Fayetteville. And then second, they've got to figure out how to win their share of these close games. They have lost 9 games in the last 2 years by a touchdown or less. 9 games in the last 2 years by a touchdown or less. That tells me that if you just win 5 of those 9, just 5 of them, we're probably not having this conversation of Sam being on the hot seat, Jason. I mean, if you win 5 of them, if you win 6, maybe if they'd won 4 of them, we wouldn't be having the conversation. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just know that you've lost 9 games in the past 2 years by a touchdown or less. you got to figure out how to win some of those, and you cannot be laying eggs in Fayetteville. I don't know what happened there. I asked Josh Bronze Friday night. I've asked Sam Pittman, and obviously, I guess if they knew they'd fix it, but I just know that they played 5 games here, I believe, 3 of them SEC, and one of them, the two non. No, they've played 6 games here. They played 3 non-SEC games here. I forgot about BYU. Yeah, so they're 2-4 in Razorback Stadium, and they beat the 2 weak teams and lost to the 4 decent teams, and got handed to them in 2 of the 4.
And look, I'm gonna put a quick piece of information out there on Ole Miss's year last year. If this would have ended like Lane Kiffin's did last year here at Arkansas, I think you'd have been looking for pitchforks as well for anybody that was coaching here. So going into the final quarter of the season, Ole Miss was 8-1.
Yeah.
They ended on a 4-game losing streak, including the bowl to Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Finished the season 8-5 and was 4th in the SEC. They were tied for first with Alabama going into that Alabama game before they lost a close 6-point game. Now, if you flip the script and you put that as Sam Pittman at Arkansas, you got people at pitchforks and torches ready to take his head off, because you were going into November with at the head of the SEC, and now you fall to 4th.
Arkansas blew them out in Fayetteville last year. Arkansas blew them out pretty good in Fayetteville last year. I remember that game.
They had no want to win that game last year here. It was too cold, and you could tell.
I knew they started extremely well, and then they just faded, man. And but then again, like I said, they came back, turned it to 10-2 this year. So, he was 8-5 last year. Drink was 6-7.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you can turn this thing around in a year, but we can sit here and talk for hours, and Pittman can sit there and talk for hours about what they can do, but it's time to go do it, because if we don't get it done, there won't. As I wrote Saturday, there won't be a Dan Enos or Jamil Walker to fire next year if they don't get the job done.
No, it'll be a wholesale fire at that point. So, well, I'm going to take a quick break here for just a second. We'll get this thing wrapped up, and then we'll get you out of here. Okay, Otis?
You bet. You're fine, man.
All righty.
Tired of serving up the same old tasteless victuals to your family? Step up your grill game with new seasonings from Cloy's Southern Eats. Based off famous Southern recipes, our seasonings will add what's been missing to your family's feast. Add it to steak, chicken, shrimp, you name it. Serving up these fixings is going to make you the hero at home. So head on over to CloysSouthernEats.com and order yours today. Come get you some.
If you all couldn't hear it, my dog was barking pretty loudly in the back. My wife, she's been gone since Tuesday, and usually Max is my sound producer, aka he just likes to come in here and bark sometimes. And he's actually out of the room right now, but if you could hear him, that was him going crazy, because my wife just got home here probably about an hour ago, and so he's excited to see her. He wasn't excited to see me the rest of today. I can promise you that. Cool. But so we're looking at the off season, and I think that this could be one of those things where coaches that are still coaching for the next month look over their shoulder a little bit and understand that coaches like Sam Pittman and other teams that didn't qualify for bowls are actually able to go out and recruit a little bit more, have a little bit more focus on recruiting than, say, teams that are in the bowls, which there's a hell of a lot of them. And that's where I think, Pittman might be able to make some strides in the, folks in the portal that open up on Friday, and also at the high school level. Yeah.
Jaden Lewis from Anniston, Alabama, a 4-star cornerback, was here for the Missouri game on an unofficial visit. But, if they could get that kid back on an official visit, he's 24, class of 24, 4-star, and was committed to Auburn, decommitted on the 17th of October from Anniston, Alabama. I believe that's the same school Orlando Waters was from. But he's, if you could get him back for an official visit here in these next 2 weekends, that would be huge. But that's what they've got to do, is take advantage of recruiting, keep the high school kids they have, maybe add one or two. And then as far as portal, we've talked about that. You got to go portal for portal, player for player. If you lose a player, they lost a defensive back, so you need to go get a defensive back,
Yep.
But
Blood Diamond Entertainment says, is Arkansas recruiting the Fayetteville junior wide receiver Jason Delamar? He's had a hell of a season with, being on the receiving end of Drake Lindsay's passes. I mean, guys,
he doesn't have an offer yet, but I mean, that doesn't mean they're not recruiting him, but he doesn't have an offer at this time from Arkansas. I mean, that doesn't mean they're not recruiting. I mean, I'm sure they're evaluating him like they are everybody else. He will be in the Saturday game at noon down there. They take on Bentonville and C.J. Brown at noon for Saturday. Friday night is Greenwood and Little Rock Christian. Saturday night is Parkview and whoever they play. I've gone
pulled up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Little Rock Parkview plays Friday night, so I mean they're Saturday night. I'm sorry, but yeah, they've got a loaded team, man, and I mean they're going to be tough to beat. So it'll be tough there. I completely blank on who they play. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. I've completely forgot who they play. But Little Rock Parkview does play Saturday night in the state championship game.
Yeah, let me pull that.
Shiloh Christian. I know who they play. They play Shiloh Christian. Yeah, they play Shiloh.
Yeah, Bo had a hell of a second half because Shiloh was down 24-6, if I'm not mistaken, into halftime, and I was reading the story, and
Williams a good football player.
Yeah, he is.
The running back at Shiloh. Yeah, they play Shiloh plays Parkview. Fayetteville plays Bentonville at noon.
Yep.
Shiloh plays Parkview that night on Saturday night. Friday night it's Greenwood and Little Rock Christian. This repeat of the game that I saw down at Greenwood a 3 weekends ago. Obviously, you got Walker White going against Kane Archer. That's the price of admission right there. That's two very good quarterbacks.
It is.
Drake Lindsay for Fayetteville, you're going to see him.
Carter Nye for Bentonville.
Yeah, you're going to see some very good quarterbacks this weekend. So, yeah, Shiloh Christian. I'm sorry, I went completely blank, and I don't know why because I talked about them earlier on the TV segment. But that's who Parkview. I'll tell you what, and I'm not saying they are, but you could make a case that Parkview's the best team in Arkansas. I know they're not 7A, they're 5A, but man, the coaching job at Bowling has done there is unbelievable. I mean, that was a school that kids at Parkview were leaving to go to Joe T. Robinson or other schools so they could win. And Bowling came in there, and now kids are wanting to play for Parkview. There's no need to go anywhere else because they're beating everybody. They beat Bryant this year. But I'm sure Fayetteville, Bentonville, and some of those teams would have something to say about that. But and I'm sure Shiloh will give them all they want Saturday night. But I do think Parkview has a chance to be one of the better teams in Arkansas. Or definitely one of the better teams, but they might be the best. But I don't know that for a fact.
So the lineup for the state championships is looking like right now. Hold on.
Yeah, it's Greenwood and Little Rock Christian Friday night. That's the 6A. At noon Saturday is Fayetteville and Bentonville, and then Saturday night is Shiloh and Parkview.
Charlotte Parkview, and then Elkins also is going to be in the state championship too for the Class 4A, if I'm not mistaken.
Aren't they in the? They're still in the
semis.
Still in the semifinals.
Semis, that's right.
Yeah, that'll be the next weekend. We'll be talking about Elkins if they win. Warren is in that mix. I don't remember who all, but I do know Warren and Elkins is two of the teams that's in the mix there. That'll be the next weekend. Yeah. They're in the semifinals now.
Yeah, I'll have to pull this. I'll have to pull that up here in just a second because let's see here. Semis. Rivercrest at Warren and Elkins at Harding Academy this weekend.
Yeah, so Harding Academy's got the linebacker committed to Arkansas. Warren's got a receiver that's been offered by Arkansas. Elkins got a great football team, man.
Christmas.
Rivercrest seems to always have a good team. I don't know as much about them as the other teams, but I mean they're always good. So that'll be some great games too. And then whoever, if whoever gets to Little Rock, that'll be a great game down there the following weekend.
Yeah, it definitely will be. Just a second here. I've got the 3A just about pulled up. Sorry. 3A is Boonville, and I think they're waiting on the winner. I'm not sure. I think that's incorrect. But then Mansfield at Prescott. So that's the other ones as well. That'll be the weekend afterwards, the winner of those two games. So, but yeah, so there's some great football that's still around the area and also down in Little Rock. So if you do get a chance, since there's no football this weekend, jump down to Little Rock and also, support those high school teams as well.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, if people may have not been tuned in, but Kamari Copeland visited Arkansas this weekend from Iowa Western, and they play Kilgore next Sunday. And if they beat Kilgore, they play. Well, the winner of that game will play in the national championship game at War Memorial Stadium the following Sunday. So that will be in Little Rock at War Memorial Stadium, and it could be Kamari Copeland and Iowa Western. They're 10-1 right now. They'll play Kilgore next Sunday. Kilgore's from Texas, to see who gets to that game. I don't know who on the other side of the bracket is.
Yep, and yeah, I'm not
I
sure.
couldn't find it online. I glanced. I was looking. I was busy though. I was having to get ready for the shows, but I don't know who else is in the hunt for that national championship. But Iowa Western's in the mix. Might get a chance to see a Razorback recruit play down Little Rock that Sunday.
Yep. Well, Otis, I'm going to get you out of here, and we're going to be jumping on at 4:30 with Dudley and myself for the Razorback Diamond Report. And make sure to, if you guys want to jump in, tune in for that as well. We'll have all things women's basketball, and Coach Courtney Deifel's birthday was over the weekend too as well, and also maybe a little bit of volleyball. They're looking at the NCAA tournament selection show tonight, and Jason Watson's had an incredible season this year, the first time that they've had 25 wins since the 1999 season. So it's pretty historic for them this year.
Yeah, there have been a lot of winning programs. Football's not one of them, but
Nope.
And the basketball team's kind of hit the skids here and got a big game against Duke. But yeah, women's basketball is doing pretty well. I know they got second in that tournament down in Fort Myers. They lost to Marquette, but they're still. Hey, man, thank you for the show, and I'll talk to you next week.
All right, sounds good, y'all. Be sure to tune in next Sunday at 3 p.m. for the Razorback Football Report with Otis Kirk. I'm Jason Patterson. Y'all take care.
See you, man.
Tired of serving up the same old tasteless victuals to your family? Step up your grill game with new seasonings from Cloy's Southern Eats. Based off famous Southern recipes, our seasonings will add what's been missing to your family's feast. Add it to steak, chicken, shrimp, you name it. Serving up these fixings is going to make you the hero at home. So head on over to CloysSouthernEats.com and order yours today. Come get you some.